Outside information 4. Hit 5. I just got a 5. That's not bad. Get those 5 things done. All of you are going to do better than the average person on the multiple choice. All of you. I guarantee it. So if you can do average on the essays, if you get just a 5. Yes, sir, question.
What if you get a 5 on, if you get a 5 on the DBQ, you still get a 5 on the overall?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Remember, only 2% get that complexity. So 11% get a 5. So that's 9% who didn't. Heck, we're assuming. Oh, why isn't that not coming on the sound? Okay.
Maybe that's up a little.
Let's do this right here.
Top 1.
How to write a contextualization paragraph for your DBQ and your own. More specifically, Norman's going to tell you the 2 biggest mistakes students make when they're writing their contextualization paragraphs and how to avoid them. Aren't you, Norman? Aren't you? Ah, he's so cute. So by this point in the year, you probably already know the basic idea of a contextualization paragraph. You have a thesis, and your job is to write about 3 sentences-ish that situates your thesis in a larger historical context. You know this, and yet you keep missing that point for contextualization, so let's fix that. If you listen to what Norman and I have to say, everything will be absolutely clear to you. And then by the end of this video, I'm going to show you an easy formula for writing your contextualization paragraph, and we'll take all the mystery out of it. Now, according to the rubric, you can contextualize either before, during, or after the time period of the prompt. But we'll keep things simple and do our contextualization before the time period you're writing about. And the general rule of thumb is that you need to contextualize with events that occurred about 50 to 100 years before the time period you're writing. Okay, so we know this. Now let's go talk to Norman. Hey, buddy, you got a question for us?
Yeah, why am I here?
Norman, you always were an existential piece of grass, and that's why we love you. Anyway, let's help Norman figure this out. Think of all the different potential ways we could answer Norman's question. I mean, we could answer it scientifically. Norman, you're here because your cells convert the light from the sun into glucose, which is called photosynthesis. And that is a perfectly legitimate answer to his question. But we could also answer his question politically. Norman, you're here on land that I own because the Cherokee who previously inhabited this patch of earth were forcibly removed during the 1830s, and now someone of European descent lives here instead of a Cherokee family. And that's why you are here. Or suppose we answer Norman's question socially. Norman, you're here because in the 1950s there was an explosion in suburban development, and one of the key features of suburbs is landscaped grass. So Norman, can you be a little more specific with your questions?
Sure, Dad.
Aww. Call you back. All right, go ahead, Norman.
Evaluate the extent to which I exist because of the social reorganization that occurred during the suburbanization of America.
All right, buddy, now that is something we can work with. So here's the first mistake that many students make in their contextualization paragraph. If Norman wants to know why he's here because of social realities, then my contextualization paragraph needs to talk about those social realities that led to his existence. So in this case, here's the mistake that you could easily make and therefore lose your point. Your thesis about Norman's existence is about...
Wait, what would be the context for suburbanization, social?
Baby boom.
Social reality contextualization paragraph is not. It's about
like a
photosynthesis.
brown
You know what I mean?
flower.
You know what I'm stepping in? Like, is it also true that Norman exists because of photosynthesis? Yes, absolutely. But that's not what the question is asking. So an unrelated contextualization paragraph, even if it says true things, will not earn the point. For example, if you have a prompt about how Spanish colonization affected social realities in the Americas, then you might be tempted to talk about technology that enabled the Spanish to go sailing across the Atlantic, you know, things like astrolabes and updated astronomical charts and new ship designs, etc. And did all those things enable the Spanish to colonize the Americas? Yes, but it's unrelated to how their presence in the Americas affected social reality. Instead, you need to talk about how society was structured in the Americas before the arrival of the Spanish.
Give me answer 5. Look at what you gotta come up with here. This is colonization affected social reality. So what's the context?
How society was before Spanish got there.
Go. And who do you know?
And that is a great setup for the argument you make in your thesis.
Which you'll never
Here's
get that
the example
answer.
of what I'm talking about. Do yourself a favor and pause this and read them both. Here's the prompt, and then here's my thesis. And then I have a contextualization paragraph that is unrelated, which earns no points, and then here's one that's related that will absolutely earn the point. Now, the second mistake students often make on their contextualization paragraph is that they aren't specific enough with their evidence. If your prompt asks you about the causes of internal migration in the United States between 1900 and 1970, then you can't just say, before 1900, there was a lot of cultural and social social tension in America. I mean, yeah, that's true, but you have to get specific in your contextualization. Like, show me what demonstrates that tension. It would be the equivalent of answering Norman's question about why he's here with, you're here because science. Hey, don't do Norman like that. Now, there's an old saying that guides the work of fiction writers: show, don't tell. In other words, a bad novelist will say he became anxious, and that's just telling. But a good novelist will describe the character shaking hands and beads of sweat and heavy breathing, and in that way the reader forms an idea of anxiety in their own mind. And you need to do the same thing with contextualization: show, don't tell. So for this contextualization paragraph, you could show or demonstrate that social and cultural tension before 1900 by talking about Southern segregation and violence toward Black Americans, which led to the exodusters migration in the late 19th century. Or you could talk about the growth of industrial capitalism in the Gilded Age, which significantly contributed to people migrating into cities looking for work. Okay, so now that you know all that, let me give you a formula for writing this paragraph. VET, vocabulary, explain, time. So write 2 or 3 sentences like this. Name your vocabulary and then explain what it means. Name your vocabulary and then explain what it means. Name your vocabulary and then explain what it means. And then write one more sentence tying what you just wrote to the topic of your thesis. And this sentence is crucial for earning the point, and it doesn't have to be that complicated. For our Spanish colonization example, you just need to say something like this. This demonstrates that the social structure of the Americas was fundamentally different than the structures the Spanish would bring with them.
Tied it into
So in
the
summary,
prompt.
what has Norman taught us?
In your contextualization, be specific and make sure it's related to the category of the prompt.
Thanks, Norman. Now, the real question is, how are you supposed to recall all the information related to the topic of your prompt? And for that, you should watch this video right here where I tell you about how to study the course thematically. And if you learn what I say there,
The next are a lot quicker.
students, I have good news. You have one less required case to remember for your APs. In case you didn't know, the College Board updated the curriculum this year to reflect the overturning of Roe v. Wade. That case will no longer be on the exam, so you don't have to worry about cramming it into your brain fold. So now the question is, what are you going to do with all that time you saved? AP Gov students, I have good...
That's AP Gov.
Yeah, but same applies to you.
Really?
Yeah, are they gonna have row? No.
You just said no.
Yes or no?
No. Then why don't we study Plessy versus Ferguson if it was overturned? Because that is different.
That's it.
I see what you're saying, but we've seen what overturned it.
Robert
And what was its effects?
Integration.
What were the effects of the overturning of Roe?
We don't know.
I don't know.
So that's why it's just, you can't.
Yeah, that's what I heard. I thought about that yesterday. I was like, why don't we study Plessy? We save a lot of time.
I like what you're thinking, but you
So
don't.
Roe v. Wade. Like,
Tell me, yeah.
Mr. Nimmer, you're
Yeah.
saying like
So why are we studying
20
Black
to
versus
50 years
Red?
from now, Roe v. Wade would be back on the test? Maybe?
Oh, absolutely. Oh, absolutely.
Huh?
Sourcing documents for your DBQ, you might feel as confused as a fart in a fan factory, but let me try to simplify it for you. To earn the point for sourcing, you need to explain a document's historical context, or its audience, or its purpose, or its point of view. Now,
What are we talking about here?
And sometimes having all those options can lead to mental paralysis. I mean, you're already just trying to understand the document, summarize it, and use it to support your thesis, and then you have 4 options for how to source it? Way too stressful. But hey, if you're already doing the HIP analysis and it works for you, then you can leave this video right now. Stick with what works for you. But if not, then try this for sourcing. Instead of trying to figure out which of those 4 skills to use and then actually using it correctly, just try to answer this question. Why was this document written? So depending on the document, your answer might be something like, this document was written to persuade these people to adopt this position, and that's important because without realizing it, you just source that document both for audience and purpose. So if you're struggling with the HIP analysis, maybe just try the simplified way and see where it gets you, and that's it. All right.
Last one.
Are you struggling to keep all your AP Gov required cases straight? All right, then let me help. Instead of trying to learn 14 different disconnected cases, it might be helpful to group them by theme.
Again, some of these cases you won't have to know, but most of them you will. But I like his theme of grouping them. We might have a little different groups for our course.
Right.
Nonetheless, federal over state would be one, right? Individual rights would be another one.
What was the second one?
First case is about federalism, McCulloch v. Maryland and U.S. v. Lopez. Second, you have cases about the balance between governmental power and individual liberty. And here you have Engel v. Vitale, Wisconsin v. Yoder, Tinker v. Des Moines, New York Times v. the United States, and Schenck v. the United States. Third, you have 2 cases on selective incorporation, Gideon v. Wainwright and McDonald v. Chicago. Fourth, you have 1 civil rights case, Brown v. the Board of Education. Fifth, you have 1 case about campaign finance, Citizens United v. the FEC. Sixth, you have 2 cases about equality in voting, Baker v. Carr and Shaw v. Reno. And finally, seventh, you have 1 case about the independence of the judicial branch and its power of judicial review, namely Marbury v. Madison. So as you're studying...
What were the 3 stages of the Supreme Court? What's the first one?
Rights of states versus rights of states.
What's it?
Rights of federalism.
Federalism, second one?
State.
Regulation.
Regulation.
And third one?
Rights of individuals.
I Wow, that is obnoxious, isn't it? Whoops, that's not for us. Why is this on?
I think we're supposed to play a game.
I'm on the wrong class.
Yeah, I think we're supposed to play a game.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Matter of fact, I think we're supposed to just chill in this class.
No.
Nope.
We're too close to the exam.
All right, so today we're doing Truman. Tomorrow we're doing Ike and JFK.
Yes.
Monday, Johnson. Tuesday, 70s, 80s. Wednesday, 90s, and through today. Thursdays, whatever I think we just need to cover. There are probably documents. Probably docs. All right? So, I'm doing Truman. You want the lights on or off? Everybody agrees? Off?
Makes me sleepy.
Yeah, I want them on, but if you all said you want them off, I'll give them off. But
You want me to turn it on? Yeah, turn it on.
all right, so let's turn them on.
I vote against.
Wow, this guy's killing me.
I beat up.
You want me to go?
I got a phone that people
Yeah.
I don't pay him, so he doesn't have to listen to me. All right.
You do pay it.
Good luck with that one. So what we're looking at is first Truman's domestic policy, then his foreign policy.
Yes. Fine.
Here we go.
This
Y'all tell people to tell a cop to pay his salary.
So both parties show signs of weakness. The Republicans were a mess. FDR and the Democrats had ruled for so long. They're just desperate. And the Democrats really make some policy mistakes. So let's go over both parties showing signs of weakness. I love the quotes here, and I'm going to give you a lot of quotes now. Matter of fact, one of these is going to be an excellent thesis. The Democratic Party was torn by struggles over civil rights, labor policy, and measures to combat inflation. There's three things. Civil rights, labor policy, measures to combat inflation. All three of these. Why would there be inflation?
defense.
Because of the new Social Security programs.
Deficit spending. Deficit spending.
Who do you?
Wait.
Oh, they're
The budget,
The war ended.
military budget.
War ended.
So there's no markets, or the markets are.
Oh,
reduced.
the defense industries are gone.
Anybody like cars here?
No.
Here?
You ever see a 1943 Plymouth?
Old car.
You never have.
Oh, I've heard of a Plymouth. I've seen
You ever see a
Plymouth.
1943 Ford?
No.
Never.
Oh, they didn't make them.
They didn't make cars then. They made Jeeps and planes. Matter of fact, they didn't make anything consumers would want.
Oh.
You take your money and you buy bonds. At the end of the war, everybody's got all this cash. GIs, you're in combat for 3 years. What happened to your checks? Went to a bank. Everybody's flush with cash. If you wanted to buy stuff for 4 years, couldn't. There's nothing for sale. Now, hello! All right, this is going to cause major inflation. Struggles over civil rights. Democrat Party. Who they got to have, Miss Keenan? Solid South. And yet you got the northern cities. They're going to have to pull this civil rights somehow. And last but not least, labor policy. One of the biggest financial donors still to the Democratic Party today is labor unions. You look, why was COVID policy so draconian on schools? I will tell you, it's one person. The person in charge of teachers' unions wanted it. And that's why it was put into place for so long.
What they want?
They wanted having you guys at home, having all the masks, having all the social distancing, pretty much
Right.
keeping you on Zoom.
One person?
Yeah, the leader of the teachers' union.
Why?
Because they get presidents elected. It's money, baby. You want to know what happens? Just follow the money. All right, so you're going to see millions and millions and millions of dollars
Yeah,
dumped into the
boom,
Democratic Party
people.
every single year by labor unions, even still today. On the other hand, and further weakened by the growing popular conviction that the Truman administration was riddled with corruption and tainted by communism. Please give me SFI for tainted by communism.
Red Scare.
What's that?
McCarthyism?
Red Scare, McCarthyism better. I want actual examples of communism in the Truman administration.
Joseph McCarthy in the personal department? Wait, no, that was Jerry Eisenhower.
Alger
Alger
Hiss. Alger Hiss working in the State Department, guilty as sin.
Nixon was one.
Of course, the Rosenbergs, right?
Oh, okay, so.
Republicans were torn by division between progressives and reactionaries. So remember, Teddy, Taft, they're progressives. And that wing versus reactionaries, one who want to pull back from all this New Deal power. And because they were absent from power for so long, they're plagued by reckless irresponsibility. They're just grabbing onto an issue, trying to get some power. Admiral Leahy on to Roosevelt. Roosevelt had a very controversial vice president, frankly. He was a communist. No. Henry Walls. But anyways, he had to get rid of him. He had to cut him loose. And he gets Harry. Nobody ever heard of Harry Truman. You know what school you graduated from?
None. He didn't go to college.
This guy is just
Average.
yes.
That's what it says.
He's not. Of course, he's not average. But he's much more. He's not from the elite family. He was a shoe salesman at one point.
He didn't go to Harvard.
Right, so he's just your common average everyday guy. He really is. A bright guy. And quote, who the hell is Harry Truman? I want to nominate as my vice president.
Who the
Admiral, what? Bailey, your author, says to err is Truman. If he was sometimes small in things, he was often big in big things. Do you understand what he's saying?
Like when it's like a big, like when it's something like his expertise, he's big in that, right? And then if it's something that's he's just dumb.
He was ridiculously stubborn.
Oh.
And in small things, he would become very small. You know, people, you took my pencil. I know you took my pencil. Don't talk to me. You took my pencil. You took my pencil. My pencil! That's my. Who cares? It's a pencil, right? You'd be very small in those moments. But on the other hand, when it came to big issues, he could really come with a big idea, a big solution. So he had his downs and his ups, right?
Mr. Vandermore?
Yes,
I have
ma'am.
a random question. Are we able to, if when we're writing like a DBQ or an essay and we use a quote, if it has a cuss word in it, are we still allowed to use that quote? Or
Oh,
should
sure.
Okay.
You're in college.
Okay.
I'm sorry. College professors cuss all the time.
Yeah.
But if you could come out of your head, oh yeah, please do. That's
Just
awesome.
one more
But
Any
put
quote
down-
you could come out of your head, that's awesome.
About to put that on my patent quote somewhere or two,
You're just gonna say
Stop.
usually cautious in matters of state, often rash and impulsive in personal controversy, and given a name calling in public. He's not a politician so much. He's not a very good politician. He doesn't know when to shut up sometimes.
Politicians don't name call in public?
They're enemies, not their friends.
Oh.
Truman not only consolidated and enlarged the New Deal and structures, but also extended the frontiers of progressivism in the direction of civil rights, public health, and public power. Okay, progressivism in the direction of civil rights. Testify, please. Segregation of the military, public health. Oh, and the freedom train, right? Public health.
Medicaid. Right?
Yeah.
That was him.
No, wait, that
was
gonna be.
Fair deal and public power.
I thought the fair deal.
Had a whole bunch of crap that doesn't pass,
Yeah.
right? But he put it up there, right?
Was
The attempt is what.
Yeah, he's not going to get a lot of
They're
stuff.
trying to argue that it's like, oh, it set the stage for great society.
It does, it does.
So you can use
He
that to
tried
argue.
to extend the New Deal, and the country wasn't ready for that. Basic domestic problem, and of course, you want change when things aren't going well. Were things going well in the 50s?
Yes.
Late 40s? Yeah. All right, basic domestic problems. So let's look at domestic. First off, demobilization and then returning veterans. That's a whole bunch of young men without jobs, isn't it? So I'm going to go over each one individually. First, demobilization. What does that mean, Mr. Albar? Demobilization.
It means to reduce the number of troops during peacetime.
Excellent. And then we got tons of them. We got to get rid of them. We don't need this amount of army. And hey, think of all the tax money you're spending paying all those soldiers for doing nothing. All right, so the need to respond to the Soviet threat with strong military versus pressure to get the boys home. You have two things. Should we keep them or not? Man, if we get rid of them, what can the Soviets now do?
Take over.
Amp up theirs and
They
attack
can
us.
be much more aggressive, couldn't they? What you going to do about it? You got no soldiers.
Big stick.
But on the other hand, you got your son, your husband away from war for 3 years. They're telling him the war's over and he's not home yet? What the hell? You're going to have some really upset mothers and wives, aren't you? All right, so demobilization proceeded with indecent haste. They got rid of men way too fast. Had to, though. Honestly, he had to. There would have been rebellion, and frankly, there was. Truman at one point admitted that it was no longer demobilization, but disintegration. It is cutting people left and right big time. Reasons? We get riots in Germany. They don't like having all those American soldiers there. Vocal demonstrations in the United States, but political pressure on the administration to disband the military quickly. And my SF5, I told you protest, the baby booty barrage. A whole bunch of mothers sending baby. You know what baby booties are? You know, they knit little slipper things. Baby booties.
Oh, booties.
Yeah, little baby slippers. Yeah, 2-month-old.
Did you know that?
No, I didn't. That's why I was confused.
All of our
Baby
baby
booties.
You know.
But remember, we still had to occupy Germany. We still had to occupy Germany.
What's it about occupy?
Our soldiers had to be there to run the government for a while. Remember I showed you that money? That was Japanese.
Yeah.
Okay, under this pressure, Truman administration demobilized quickly, reducing the size of the army by the summer of '46. This created a power vacuum that the Soviets would fill.
Do you have any charts that have the numbers of like how much of a difference it was for the number of members we had in the military?
I don't. Now, you got to know this. This fits in so many essays. This GI Bill, my God, it context, SFI, it's everything, man. Two things it does. Can anybody tell me what are the two things it does?
Pay for
Provides-
education.
Education
Provides
and
a home.
home loans. Now, what it does, it doesn't give you a home loan. The bank gives you the loan.
52-week club, right?
They just guarantee it.
Oh.
If he bails out, he goes bankrupt, government guarantees it was paid. Jeez. Heck yeah, I'll lend you money.
Stimulating the economy.
Hey, Matt, give me SFI.
Some
Cookie cutter.
Look.
Levittown.
Levittown, right?
I was about to
Alright.
say cookie
You
cutter
were on the edge of
communities.
it.
Unemployment compensation we're going to get for 52 weeks. Government guaranteed loans by servicemen and free education. So here's one I haven't talked about. You got a whole year of unemployment. You don't have to get the first job that comes to you. You can look around and get what you want. And this allows things to, you got to put 10 million, 20 million men into the economy all of a sudden. Yeah, let's give it a little time to adjust.
Kick those Mexicans out.
The VA, which has been an incredible failure since it's been going.
But they're the ones who guaranteed
Did they start the?
I'm sorry, first, second.
they guaranteed the whole GI Bill thing.
The government does.
Not the veterans.
They were just something.
They are the government. That is
Oh.
the same thing. All right. So, all right, where am I? Selective service continued into 47, and in 48, they're going to discontinue the draft until Korea. Yes, sir.
Veterans Administration, did Truman create it, or was it already existing before?
I don't think he created. I don't think he created it.
Because,
I don't know. I thought it was there for after World War One.
No, I thought they got that bonus. You remember the bonus?
The bonus.
Did that come from them?
No, it wouldn't have. That was from Congress. That was an act passed, and it wasn't even a solid act. It didn't even put a solid year in. It said around 45, but it didn't actually say the actual year they would get the money. If anybody's got a computer, that'd be great to know when was the VA start.
I got
Selective
it.
service continued.
Apparently I don't.
That sounded expensive.
I've dropped it before. Let's just hope that wasn't the
No, just remember.
Yes,
stone
sir.
that broke the
Look,
camel's
really
back.
didn't, like, elaborate on the GI Bill. Just,
We just did, right?
I know.
Do you need to know anything more? Did
Nah.
you guys see the movie? That little clip. I think
Yeah.
that just cements it for me. Because what was that blonde's job?
It
She
still
was
works.
working in the factory making the planes.
No, she was a housewife.
Oh, that one.
Yeah.
Oh.
Not Rosie. Not Rosie. Not Rosie.
What was the question you were asking?
Oh, the VA administration. When was it begun? I'm gonna actually. If I'm gonna take a guess, I'm gonna say something more. Could be wrong. All right.
Revolutionary.
Economic policy. So I'm gonna go over primary needs, Employment Act, and wage and price controls. I'm getting into the weeds, so I'm gonna go very fast. Just giving you some taste here. It's so close to the exam, it's gonna stick in your head. So what are the primary needs? When I worked at Kodak, they had, did I tell you about the huge machines they had strapped to the wall with steel bands?
Yes.
Okay. They were ready to go to war. Now we have to put those machines back up on the wall and bring back down what we really do, make cameras, right? So country had to retool. Anti-inflationary measures had to be adopted because of this pent-up demand. Everybody wanted stuff and everybody had cash.
Why did everybody have cash though?
What could you spend it on?
Oh, right.
And if you're fighting in France, what did you spend it on? It just went home into a bank account. Now you got it. You're flush with cash. All the people who wanted to buy dresses and cars, they couldn't.
Because all those.
Matter of fact, they bought bonds, and now the bonds are going to be easy. Just
I thought you said bombs.
bonds, B-O-N-D.
It's because of those.
I would have bought bonds.
These right here.
Although rationing, yes. Full employment had to be achieved as quickly as possible. And so we're going to put wage and price controls had to be resolved from the wartime.
Nixon was looking for us to.
And it doesn't work, does it? Why does it work under FDR?
Why does it work under FDR?
Yeah.
Or
Under FDR.
Because it was just the banks, right?
it was the government controlling.
I have 2 answers.
Wait, one second. Why? It's the war. People will put up with it. They'll put up with anything. They put up with meatless meat.
That's
Wait,
really
I don't get
gross.
it.
But how did Nixon?
Why would they put up with wage and price controls? They certainly don't under Nixon. It backfires, right?
Oh.
Why does it go smoothly for FDR?
For the boys.
Yeah, I'm willing to sacrifice. I'm willing to.
I thought you meant like the economic success.
Oh.
That's what.
You had an answer.
So it has 2 different answers. So the benefits started in around 1917, but the department was founded in 1989.
Okay, well, we know that one's wrong. Something's wrong there.
Well, it says United States Department of Veterans Affairs was founded March 15th, 1989.
Veterans Affairs.
200 years of the Constitution. Employment Act.
What was it? Oh, please look up Veterans Administration. Veterans Administration, not Veterans Affairs.
March 15th.
All right, next. There was primary needs. Next one was the Employment Act of 46. Star.
1865.
Okay. Here it is. The New Deal and World War II cement in the idea, because of the Great Depression, that it is the government's responsibility for the economy. Remember, before then, hey, business cycle. Hoover warned us about the loss of what?
Regular individualism.
And this is exactly what he was afraid of. Whether he should be or not is something you would argue.
Mr. Merriman,
Yes, sir.
so this ties to the essay, like where it said like the New Deal, that's the expectation of government, like.
This is like perfect SFI. You're exactly right.
But
Perfect example.
Yeah.
What exactly did this act do?
Establishes the Council of Economic Advisors. In fact, it codifies the New Deal philosophy. When did Obamacare become permanent?
When it wasn't.
When Trump tried to get rid of it, and the Republican Congress doesn't get. You had Republican control the Senate, Republican control the House. Mitt Romney votes for it, and thus, hey, that doesn't happen. When the Republicans own it all, and they don't overturn it, it becomes solid. Same with the New Deal. It doesn't become solid under Truman, actually. Who's it going to become solid under? Eisenhower.
Why?
Because
Oh,
Eisenhower's
he-
Republican.
Republican.
Yeah. But here he's codifying. He's putting this as the law now, not just some New Deal thing for emergency and a depression. So now, we are a welfare state. A welfare state. And this is going to change immigration greatly. How come? Why will this change immigration big time?
America gets viewed as a land of equal opportunity.
We always were.
Because immigrants can receive help from the government. Or
again,
There you go.
now they have to.
Hey, you want immigrants to come in? Sure, fine, good luck to you. But now, if immigrants come in, my tax money gets to go to them. And take a look in the school, right? I don't pay for the school, but other people do pay their property taxes. And aren't there people here who are not citizens? Legally here? But yet, money's being paid every day for their kids to go to school.
John, why did
Right?
you start staring at Elliot when he said that?
Well, anyways, see the ramifications. Next, wage and price controls.
That's it.
Yeah.
That was not important?
No.
Okay.
Labor policy.
This is a big one.
Yeah, here's the labor. You guys wanted to know more about it. Here we go. What is the one big act dealing with labor that Truman vetoes and is overridden on?
Was it Smith-Connolly?
No.
No.
Good guess, though.
It has something to do with
Taft.
Taft-Hartley.
Taft-Hartley. All right, so basic problem was ending of overtime work. Hey, we'll pay you anything to work overtime in the war. Rosie, you want to work 80 hours? You got it. Anybody here got a job where they get a paycheck? All right. How much do you get if you work 41 hours? How much do you get to that 41st hour?
You get 1.5% of what you make regularly.
Yeah, time and a half, baby. Time and a half. So if I make $10 an hour, how much do I get an hour for that 41st hour? 15 bucks. Time and a half. Man, everybody likes working overtime. Get a lot more money, right? That costs the government a lot of money. Wartime, I don't care. Now we gotta cut that out.
Was overtime established during the New Deal? Because
Wasn't it the first?
It sure was, wasn't it? It sure was, wasn't
so
it?
they're trying to
FLSA?
basically go against what they had previously enacted.
How?
Because
No. That was just saying what you have to pay. This is just saying we're not gonna let you work more than 40 hours. Yeah, it's like when I was a manager at Food Line. The number one sin, let somebody work over 40 hours. That's where their profit margin, if you go into the overtime, it's gonna wipe out their profit
so
margin.
that's why they
I don't
have
care
a lot
about
of
it.
employees and work small.
Oh.
What about my profit margin?
Exactly. Now, the downside is, wouldn't you want your best employees doing overtime?
Yeah.
Okay, but, that's your business model, whatever you come up with.
That's what Dollar General is so messed up.
Corporate profits double, while real wages fall.
Why? Oh, never mind.
They're not getting raises.
Is that stagflation?
Companies are making tons of profits, and they're not raising the wages.
Is that stagflation?
I'm sorry, what?
Is that stagflation? Or what's the term for
No.
Stagflation.
When productivity just stagnates.
Yeah, but that's in a stagnated economy. This economy's rocking and rolling here.
Oh, okay.
So, but yeah, it's got two of the three factors. All right, wage increases granted in round. First round, 18 cents per hour. Second and third rounds also see increases. Why would employers grant them?
Grant what?
Grant these raises?
Wages around.
Tremendous demand for goods. Increases could be passed on to the consumer. And there's full employment. We have the same thing now. I have a girl in the back. She has a job. You know what? Screw that. They're paying me $10 an hour. I'm not getting any tips. I'm going somewhere else.
Not that she can do anything.
What's that?
This probably is an eye.
No, yes. And I didn't believe I shouldn't have said that. I didn't know you knew. But anyways, yeah. And can she find a job making more than $10 an hour?
Yes.
Yeah.
Tips?
You asked me 10 years ago. Kids here were fighting each other to work at the pig. Now you get to pick and choose, right?
Wendy's hasn't even opened yet, and they're hiring for $11 an hour.
Still fine for a job.
Imagine killing someone because he tried to steal your job.
Now, nevertheless, even though those rates are going up, well, look what I'm leading to. Strikes increased dramatically. All right, 4.6 million workers affected in the year after the war. They put up with stuff during the war, not after the war. They want more prices. Everybody's making profits. We should make some of those too. Truman, though pro-labor, takes a tough stand. And Truman was very good at this. When he decided to be tough, he was going to be tough. Look at what was the sign on his desk?
The buck stops here.
If you think I'm going to sit here and let you tie up the whole country, you're crazy as hell.
He's so how
Right? Oh. Truman nationalizes the railroads. Now, we can compare this with what Reagan does. What does Reagan do?
Deregulation?
Denationalizes, or he deregulates the industries.
And then what happens? Who went on strike?
The railroad workers?
Air traffic controllers.
Really?
Fired them.
What?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay, and nationalized for a while. You had it in your chapter, did you not have that?
No.
I'm sorry, I just know it from life. I lived it. All right, it was a big moment, though. It was a huge power struggle. Seizes control of the mines. Who can I compare this to?
Control the minds. Teddy.
Teddy!
Roosevelt.
Remember the anthracite coal strike? Now, he never does do it, but he threatened to do it, right?
What's the year, 1906?
4.
Oh,
Oh. I think it is 2, actually. Can somebody look it up? Anthracite coal strike, is it 1902, 1904, 1906?
So both the guys who weren't.
What's that?
So both the guys who didn't side against labor.
over here, Jack.
Yeah, and again, because this would cripple the country.
It was
They're in charge,
1902.
right? What's that?
1902.
1902 it was. Ah, it was right.
Draft strikers is the army.
But actually,
It's kind of crazy.
And the
Draft
Veterans
strikers is the army's kinda
Administration
crazy.
was
You would do that.
1865.
Damn.
Despite the fact that labor can't seem to get ahead, it is an overall period of gain. We are looking at the golden age of labor right now. The 50s are the golden age of labor. I shouldn't say right now. In the 50s.
Yeah, 80 years ago.
Right now, back then.
And what was
Before I was born.
What was the top labor union?
AFL-CIO.
It's better to write AFL. You can write the AFOL on the test, right?
AFL and CIO are two different labor unions until they come together.
Wasn't it until like 1955?
I think you're right.
Well, you can write. You don't have to write out the full name of the union.
No! No,
It's
don't.
like
No. That'd be like writing out Marbury versus Madison, or Brown versus the Board of Education of Topeka, Kansas. Heck no. Brown. All right, change in the characteristics of labor demands. So what changes? Change over time. Change over time. They want wages. Seek fringe benefits. And this is what you get today. Healthcare. Do you offer healthcare? Do you offer daycare? You know, if I work in the city and I'm a single mom, hey, you might pay me less, but if you got a daycare center, I'm all in. Anybody here know how much daycare costs?
Yeah.
It does, doesn't it? Sometimes it makes it not worth working, doesn't it? A lot of these mothers work, and in the end, they're making like $3 an hour because they're paying the daycare.
So leave the kids alone.
All right,
In the
vacation
city.
and pension plans. Now, I don't get it. I could go to New York right now and make over double what I make now. Double.
Cost of living.
No, I go to my hometown of Rochester.
You like
Costs less than here.
you like this climate. That's why.
I do. But why don't I move to New York and make double the money?
Rents.
The Sun Belt.
Oh.
My pension.
What's that?
My pension is I have to every month put in money towards my retirement. So when I get out, I'm gonna get like 3/4 of my paycheck for the rest of my life.
What's up?
This is called a pension. You work in big companies, you're a higher level worker, you get a pension. Now that's a big deal, that's a lot of cash. The longer I work, the higher my pension gets.
What's
I'm sorry.
What's the difference in that and like a 401k? What is
Okay,
it?
401k, I'm individually putting my own money in. Here I'm not. Here I'm giving it to the state. And the state has a treasurer who invests the money for us.
So you're just
So when I
saying-
told you I own hundreds of stocks, I only own a couple of my own. The hundreds I own are in my pension plan.
So you have to stay here for.
But if I leave North Carolina, no, my years stopped. I don't care if I teach 10 years in New York, I'll only have year 0 through 10 in New York, and I'll hardly get any pension.
You're stuck.
And here, because I didn't go my full 30 years, I won't get my full pension.
That's what they're saying.
I'm sorry. And so you see how it keeps me here?
Yeah.
Yeah, I stay in North Carolina.
You're
Yeah.
staying- you're
I'll
staying
keep on my
here.
ties.
Because of that benefit. Yes, sir. Question.
That's what they're saying about cops. Like, you know how cops.
They have the same thing, pensions.
When
Yes.
cops get fired, they're saying that they shouldn't give them their pension, especially like if it's for like abuse.
Usually when
of
you
power.
get fired, you don't get your pension.
Yeah.
Now, the tough part about that is that's their money. Now, government's matching, but you sign a contract, and that's in your contract, however it's, said in there. Next, increasingly, labor stresses job security over immediate gains. Job security is a big thing. Changing jobs. Now, for you guys, that's gone. Your generation, job security seems to be gone. You guys are leaving jobs, not you, but the generation right before you, are leaving jobs very quickly. 3 years moving on, 3 years moving on. Same thing with houses. Like where my generation buys a house and owns it for 30 years and pays it off. You guys are buying, selling, buying, selling.
Is this smart?
Oh,
Yeah, a lot of people job hop just because prices get adjusted, especially like since more work experience can bring more money and it'll be faster than to stay at one company.
what state should you work in first?
Your home state.
No,
Look,
California.
Why?
You live poor. Because you're going to pay tons. The average house in California is like $1.3 million. Little 2-bedroom ranch. So you go there, make tons of inflated money, don't spend anything, save money for 10 years, move to North Carolina. I got people, I couldn't believe it, in my neighborhood. This house wasn't worth more than $185,000. And these people came in and paid almost $300,000. Every house in my neighborhood went up for sale. They're paying that for that house? For sale. Want to know why they paid so much?
location.
They're from California.
So California's.
They saw this house for like $285. Heck yeah! But they bought it instantly. They didn't even shop around, idiots. They even shop around. Because North Carolina prices are much cheaper than California prices.
Damn Westerners.
All right, so let's take a look at these strong anti-labor sentiment in Congress. Why? Well, first, June Taft-Hartley Act is passed. Truman vetoes the bill, but it is overridden. What did it do? What did Taft-Hartley do?
Didn't it stop yellow? Never mind. I was like, I'm trying to get it.
Yes.
During this time, going like on immigrants, they're still using the quota system.
Yes.
From what years? Was it adjusted like
Yes.
every other year? Like
Yeah, and I can't help you there. There's so many immigration acts at this
I
point.
was just making sure it's not like the same ones from the 1890s.
You know, it radically changes all over the place. What was it? Johnson gets rid of the quota system. Today we got a little tiny version of it, but it's really not a quota system because if you're a doctor, you're in.
What?
No, if you're a rocket scientist, you're in.
It just depends what you produce.
Sure. And if you're farm labor, apply.
So one
Right.
of my girls get a little doctor in Quebec.
And it, well, of course, somebody who's going to add to society immediately, they're going to let you. Is that fair? Ban closed shops. Now tell me, Mr. Wells, what's a closed shop?
Union owned.
Union only. Employers could sue for losses. 60-day cooling off period before you could go on strike. Financial statements. Forbid campaign contributions by union. They get around this by forming PACs. Do you know what a PAC is?
Politically active committees?
Political Action Committee. And this is where all the dirty money in politics comes from. I don't know if you remember, Heim was showing the court cases, and one of them was called Citizens United.
Oh yeah.
This is a very recent court
I
case.
heard about
The
this.
left hates it. It's funny, the right at the time, the Republicans at the time, liked it. But now with the new style Republicans who are much more populist, they don't like it. What's that?
What does populist mean?
Come from people, grassroots. Yeah, Trump was not Trump down, it was grassroots. And where was that going? What was it? Oh, PACs. It's called Citizens United, and it says corporations are people.
That overturned it.
No.
What?
Meaning corporations could donate to campaigns, just like people. Freedom of speech. Boy, certain people didn't like this.
Yeah, I mean like the bans on the.
And then the wealthiest could find ways around it and donate millions. And it was funny, at the time, the left hated it and the right was liked it, but now it's the left who's really benefiting by it because the huge tech companies are donating massive amounts of money to the Democratic Party today.
They flipped it, basically.
Yeah, very much so. So now it's probably the left who would, yeah, Citizens United, and the right, boo.
Oh, it's like the Sherman, how they wanted to use it and then they use it on labor unions.
I love how you guys are doing that.
They
It's
said the-
beautiful. Give me comparisons. That's awesome.
They said the war chest
Never
was
me
like-
doing this.
was the highest during that election. Like it went like $2 billion.
I'm not gonna make it.
Heck, they just spent $45 million on electing a Supreme Court Justice of Wisconsin.
There's gotta be some money laundering. There's gotta be some money laundering.
Now, here's the biggie. Truman vetoes, but it's overridden. Give me another one that's vetoed and overridden. Another bill.
Mary Hogan bill?
Was it?
Mary Hogan
Mary
bill?
Hogan
No,
bill
this
is,
was
yeah.
yeah.
And I'm thinking. way
Oh,
before.
it wasn't.
Yeah, because it was
Never
a
mind.
bill.
I'm thinking before the most famous one.
We're just.
Civil Rights Act of 1866 by,
Johnson.
and they override his veto. Now
1866.
here's that. I'll give a bonus point. Before that, he vetoes another piece of legislation. They almost override it, but not quite. Later they'll rewrite the bill and it passes. Anybody tell me what that is? I'll give you one.
Freedmen's Bureau.
Andrew Johnson?
Now it was the second time around, the second Freedmen's Bureau, but you are exactly right. Yeah, Lincoln wouldn't veto the
The
Freedmen's Bureau.
Freedmen's Bureau even help like displace Southerners, right? Not just the freedmen.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, no doubt about it. The best thing of Reconstruction besides 13, 14, 15
Freedmen's Bureau?
is freedom.
Education there?
And the slaves would have said the same thing. No. Long term, I as a historian say that. But who would the freed slaves, what would they see was the best thing about it?
They gave them,
What was the best thing about the Freedmen's Bureau for the African Americans?
they gave them clothes.
No!
Land.
No!
Jobs?
No!
Government mules.
Their families!
Uh,
Remember? Everybody wrote who their families, who their
Oh.
wives, who their kids, and this is what found them. I don't care about food, I don't care about water, where's my daughter?
What was the system called?
Freedmen's Bureau.
I mean like the system of finding the Freedmen's Bureau.
Yeah.
It's like the missing people at Walmart.
That was me one time, bro.
That was me one time, bro.
what?
All right, so now we're getting into
What?
foreign policy, mixing in with domestic, the Red Scare. Unhappily, and look at this, you know you're gonna have, if you have a Red Scare essay, it's gonna compare the two, isn't it? That's the ultimate comparison essay.
It's a good essay though.
It is, and have it down, have it down. Unhappily, in contrast to the Red Scare of 1919-1920, the fear of communist infiltration following the Second World War was some measures justified. Complexity. You see, throwing this at the end of your thesis, and boom, there's the complexity. I'm supposed to say which one was which, but no, hey, in the end, hey, this one was actually a Red Scare, justified Red Scare. And what's your SFI? Alger Hiss, right? Rosenberg's, and there's many others. There were people in the army who were communists. All right.
What's her name? Rosenberg?
It was Ethel and Julius Rosenberg.
Let me say it.
Well, you said it.
You can't say you gotta
Oh,
spell
sorry. That's what you wanted, wasn't it?
You said it, you didn't spit, so.
What is the executive order 9835?
Let's get there. Two incidents sparked the scare. I don't know what that is.
Gracias.
Anybody know what that is?
No.
He said it. He said it.
American
Emily said
Asian
it earlier.
case.
Can you look it up?
Yeah.
And Canadian report proved that the Communist Party in Canada was working.
And
Canadians.
When they got free health care.
Did you see that they found a Chinese police in New York? What was that about? Like,
They set up their own little.
police station?
It's frankly a spy station.
Like, see your.
Chinatown.
We do the same thing.
Oh.
All right. What'd you find out, Miss Gelbar? Holler at me when you find it.
I will.
Truman issues 9835. Don't remember that one. Investigating all federal employees, you had to take a loyalty oath.
So, don't remember that.
What's that?
Don't remember that.
Not the order. There's no, you had to take a loyalty program. You would call it a loyalty program.
Okay.
3 million are investigated. Now, let me put it to you this way. When you join the Army, you are investigated by the FBI. You'll have relatives or friends say, hey, the FBI just called me asking about you. Every soldier that enters basic training, they spend, well, this is back in 1984, they spent $1 million on your background check.
Each soldier?
Each soldier.
Why?
You want a communist spy in the military
No.
in charge of nuclear weapons?
I'm just saying.
Private?
Why a civilian, man?
Hey, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
What did a private do? Like, theoretically, what could
I can tell you what they did. They would inspect, they would clean. Actually, I wasn't allowed in the area. I was outside of the area, but I roomed with a whole bunch of guys who worked on nukes every single day. And almost all of them were below sergeant rank.
$1 million each.
I have the summary of the case for you.
And I'm sorry, that's not just the background, that's also the training for
Oh.
yeah, I'm sorry. So anyways, 14,000 full-scale investigations. This means we're putting many agents on you.
Group check.
2,000 resigned, 212 dismissed. You're obviously a communist. You're just straight out, I'm a communist. I don't know if it's going to
What
work.
did they find out about you?
I'm not going to go over it anyways. There's a movie. It's got Robert Downey Jr. You know the guy from Iron Man?
Yeah.
He's in a movie and it's about him taking a loyalty. It didn't show you anything.
There's a show that's based on the 80s, and like a kid went on a news station, and he was saying how communism was good, and then the whole family was getting like attacked. They're in the 80s. It's their fault.
Yeah. Communists weren't like in the 80s, that's for sure.
Movie based
It's
on
much
the-
easier. Yes, man, what'd you find?
So the Amarasya was a journal of Far Eastern affairs known for the 1940s Amarasya affair, in which several of its staff and their contacts were suspected of espionage and charged with unauthorized possession of government documents.
I'm sorry, who are they? A magazine?
A journal.
Okay, so the magazine, there's an American journal.
They were accused of being communists.
Charged
spies?
with unauthorized possession of
Oh, that'd
government
be kind of like
documents.
So they were spies. They had top secret documents.
Bro, look at Switzerland.
I was gonna say Rocco and Vanzetti.
Sacco.
Sacco.
I can't believe I got the assassination question wrong.
All right, who's this guy? Alger Hiss. What's his position?
Secretary of State.
He's under Secretary of State, so he's like second, third in command here.
What do you think is the like position that has the most power in like the academy?
Secretary of State.
Secretary of State?
Depends.
Sure, your state?
If we're at war, that changes, right?
Secretary of Defense?
So it depends on time period, but most often Secretary of State. So we look at Whitaker Chambers, your second piece of SFI. Spy busted in the State Department. Hiss called before the committee. Matter of fact, a whole bunch of people protested in his honor. And they let him go. He's innocent.
Why?
We didn't know what we know today. When the Soviet Union fell, we got the secret documents, we found out, yep, he was communist spy. So at the time, though, just like Sacco and Vanzetti, he's innocent, getting persecuted, Red Scare. He's guilty. Who's the number one guy going after him besides McCarthy?
Nixon.
What's the difference between Nixon and McCarthy?
McCarthy was ruthless. Nixon was more.
And McCarthy damaged free speech and fair play, right?
True, not what I was looking for, but you're exactly right. One was a senator, one was the House.
Oh.
So the Senate investigations, one's House.
Yeah, McCarthy was ruthless.
Very much
That's
so.
what ruined
Nixon
his
was
image because he was such a a-hole.
Yeah, he was all dirt. He was looking to get himself elected. He didn't have an issue. He had an election coming up. He needed to take an issue.
Bro was looking for a fight.
And so, yeah, and he looked what was popular at the time, right?
I would say-
Look at, to find the same thing today, just look for a politician who can't stop talking about transgender.
Sticking with the trend.
Come on, how many do you know? One? Do you know any? Do you know anybody got theirs cut off? No, you don't. It's not this huge issue, is it? So why are they talking so much about it?
Because it's trendy.
It gets people excited, gets them interested, and now I'm gonna get elected.
I mean, I have
Might be a
a
here
friend
thing,
who's
though.
trans.
What?
It might be a here thing though. We live in different counties.
Yeah.
You went different. Yeah, in the
Say
cities,
one.
it's probably much more prevalent.
You said one.
Government is unable to convict his. All right, next. 11 communists are charged with violations of the Smith Act. So that's the piece of SFI I would have. Loyalty program and the Smith Act.
That was just.
Move Connolly Act.
That's basically the loyalty program. Supreme Court upholds the conviction. And Dennis et al., you don't have to know that. I'm going over the Cold War here. Julius and Ethel accused of passing atomic secrets to the Russians. They fried, and I'm glad of it. Oh, look what they did. Maybe the biggest criminal move in the history of the world. You give our deathly enemies the ability to wipe us off the planet. You gave them the secret to kill millions.
Not biggest.
Wow.
Dog.
That's real what?
Trying
Yes.
to get like them
Why
for
did
real.
they kill? Why was Saddam Hussein like killing?
I'm saying, I'm sorry, what?
If they didn't find any weapons of mass destruction, why was he killed?
You said he was executed.
Well, first off, they had to finish it off. Second, that weapons of mass destruction,
It was just an excuse, right?
it was like seven months before we invaded. It's
Bush-
7 months to get rid of them.
Bush
Did
was
he?
just looking for a fight.
I don't know. But the press hated Bush. So as soon as they didn't find him, they went off on him. Were they there? Was it an excuse? I don't know, because why were we invading Iraq? Do you know? I don't know. I was there. I have no idea. How many people from Iraq were on the 9/11 planes? There was 3 of them. 3 planes. I mean, were Iraqis?
None.
Zero. Almost all of them were from Saudi Arabia.
Oil.
How come we didn't take Saudi Arabia?
They got money. Oil. They got
All right. So, you're getting me off track here. We got to finish these notes because I cannot finish them. If we don't finish them today, I'm moving on tomorrow. All right. So Rosenberg's passing the secrets, convicted, executed. Although some still said they were innocent, they weren't. Guilty as sin. They fried in the electric chair.
Nice. They're both dudes.
No, they were
No,
Oh, one-
husband and wife.
one was- oh, okay.
Ethel?
But Ethel? That doesn't sound like a girl.
Ethel sounds like a female.
It's very much girl name.
I know somebody by the
That's
name.
like Beatrice.
That's how you
Old
pronounce
school
it.
name.
Ethel.
Old school name. Don't mock Beatrice. That's my grandma's name.
Oh,
All right, so let's go to the McCarthy hearings. McCarthyism means reckless charges. I think one of you guys said that earlier. The term McCarthyist has nothing to do with communism if you don't want it to today. It would be just somebody making reckless
you.
charges, right? All right, so, as a matter of fact, didn't Fox News just get called on that? Had paid over $780 million for saying the voting machines were crooked? McCarthy is up for re-election in 52 and needs an issue. So here's another senator from Ohio. Joe, you're an SOB. But there are times when you've got to have an SOB around. And this is one of them.
we did it, Joe.
Sometimes it is, by the way, if you're going to be bosses, it's really good to have an SOB work in second command.
Why?
Because you want to be the people feel free they can come talk to you. But you want a guy who cracks the whip.
that's neat.
Somebody who nags.
So to have a second in command who doesn't care what you think, shut up, get it done, that's a nice guy to have.
It's like we got bad cops.
At various times, he claims to have a list containing, and he would pull out an envelope. I have a list of 205 names or 81 names, or the number would always change. Never came up with a name. By the way, we know there were hundreds and hundreds of communists in there, planted in there purposely. Today, with the fall of the Soviet Union, we got all this information. And that's why you had that original thesis with I told you the complexity.
Yeah,
That was in the second Red Scare. There was some justification for it. Accuses George Marshall and Dwight Eisenhower of assisting communists in their drive for world domination. This is where he screws up.
Darn.
Won World War II. Helped win World War II. These are two guys. The whole country's gonna be like, what? You say what? Nah. Yes, sir.
Is this the same George Marshall Bond, the Marshall Plan?
Yes.
Okay.
He becomes Secretary of State. And that's why he comes up with money.
Good for him.
In 54, he holds televised hearings. Some say because the aide of his name Schlein was drafted in the army and failed to receive preferential treatment. So this is how he was going to use his power to get revenge. Oh yeah? Don't give me what I want? I got something for you. Whether it's true or not. All right, accuse citizens and ruin careers without proof. And I'm talking a lot of careers. Reputations.
Didn't Ronald Reagan do the same thing? He helped him do that in Hollywood?
Yeah, he was a part of the anti-communist committee.
But
He was.
I've read a whole book on that.
What?
Oh my God! It was everybody was going to vote that they should have a communist. They should follow the Communist Manifesto in a huge meeting. He was the leader. It was only, and all he had to do was get one guy to second it, and he could squash that. But nobody would second it. You know, if you make a motion to end discussion on becoming communist, and so they were going to do it. Does anybody know the one guy who raised his hand and seconded it?
Right.
John
Quincy
Wayne.
Adams.
Who?
John Wayne.
I was close. I said John Quincy.
What's that?
John Wayne.
No.
Imagine.
John Wayne, he's like the greatest cowboy star. He's a man's man. And
I was
when
close.
John Wayne said it, everybody else had to shut up. Okay, communist thing is
I was
gone.
close. I said
It was a great story. The Peter?
I was close.
I don't know what you're talking about. Is that the same event we're talking about?
I remember in Hollywood it said that he helped get communists out.
Oh yeah, big time. Because if I'm a communist, why would I want to have control in Hollywood?
Because then you control the media.
Oh. All right. Guilt by association. And it's going to destroy people. This guy is a folk singer. You know, he's one of those guys who plays the flute and drums. Banjo. Destroys. Writers. Movie directors. And they all have to go underground. They're blacklisted. Do you understand what it means to be blacklisted?
Can't get
You
jobs.
can't get jobs.
Yeah, I would have a blacklist when I worked at certain companies when customers came in, they're terrible customers. I call my competition, hey, who you got? Okay, here's who I got. Don't cash any of their checks. Yeah, you know, people who are criminals or whatever. Well, share that information. They get blacklisted. You don't buy anything in my store. Get up.
I thought it was just people you didn't like.
No, it didn't work
I
out.
thought blacklisted.
I like everybody's money, right?
I thought blacklisted was only with federal jobs.
That's just one form of it. You can do it in many different ways. Blacklisted means I just make sure you're not going to get what you want. All right, the Army is ably defended by attorneys who make McCarthy look foolish. And it's on TV. The craze fizzles as Americans see this. It takes us just minutes to say, this guy's a bully. This guy's a dirtbag. It doesn't take you long to get that impression. Now, in the newspaper, you can't get that impression. But when people saw him and heard him, over.
It's like a textbook.
TV changed a lot. Let's get results.
Oh, by the way, he loses what? He loses his job, his wife,
And his life.
and his life.
Alcohol.
Kind of cool.
All right, so this Truman legislation.
All right, so Red Scare results.
Ill man.
What are the results in legislation? So here's what kind of political results do we get? Yes, sir.
When does Eisenhower become president?
52.
So that
So
would be
53.
Oh, okay, so that wouldn't be under him.
No. It'd be January 53.
All right.
It's under FDR that inaugurations moved from March to January.
20th Amendment.
What's that?
24th.
I forget which one they included, and they slipped into one of them. Is it the 24th?
No, it's not 24th. 24th was poll tax.
No, I mean, they slipped it into one of them.
Oh.
It's not its own separate
Which-
amendment. It
what
just
are we-
slipped in. What's that?
You look
Yeah,
it up.
please.
What is it?
The Department of Defense.
All right, so my three pieces of SFI, National Security Act, McCarran Internal Security Act, and McCarran-Walter Immigration National. Does this work?
And these were all fueled by the Red Scare.
No, these are results in legislation by the way, here, yes.
Even the CIA.
It was the 20th.
So the Immigration and Nationality Act, what would this also be a piece of SFI for?
Native is Immigration and Nationality Act.
Mhm.
What did it do? Like,
Oh God, I just clicked
You
it
can go
off.
back and it had it listed.
Oh, oh no! My PowerPoint just crashed, excuse me.
well, it was the 20th. Yeah, I was right. I remember that from Mr. Nagel. January 20th Amendment.
Gosh.
Was it the 20th?
Yeah.
All right, is that, and that says you can only serve? No.
Not the inauguration day.
22nd is 2 terms.
Yeah.
What else does the 20th say?
20th.
20th Amendment.
Wasn't it just to get rid of that lame duck period?
Yeah.
And then 21st brought back. What was 21st?
21st was
It said,
prohibition is gone.
Repealed, yeah.
Yeah, it changed the beginning of the term and it made that the vice president becomes the president.
There you go.
President.
Okay, so that January 1st
Oh,
is
really?
just a slide, and it's more important. It's about how the VP becomes president.
Wait, that didn't happen before?
No, it's pretty unclear.
So what?
Wait, so then how did John Tyler become president?
Did the president just pick their vice president?
Well,
Yeah.
once
He
they
knew he
got
was
it, they
gonna die.
came, but it wasn't in the Constitution. It wasn't official. It's precedent. Where are we at?
We were at the Red Scare legislation. Right there.
Okay, election of 48.
Back.
The election of 48. No. Oh,
That right there.
we good? And again, this is a land of 6 here. We're not really a land of 6.
Exactly.
94?
Given all we.
My turn?
Yeah.
Again, I'm just, so it's fresh in your mind, I want to fly through it. I don't want to give you time to write everything down. All right, so the election of 48. Who's going to be one of the candidates? Who's the Democrat candidate?
Nixon.
No.
Oh, no.
Election of 1848, Democrat candidate?
Eisenhower.
Democrat.
Eisenhower.
Eisenhower's Republican.
Oh.
Wallace.
Wallace, no.
Damn.
His name is Truman.
Truman's a Democrat?
Truman. He was vice president.
Oh,
for-
yeah.
Oh, I thought you meant who like contended him for the
Yeah.
primary.
No, I meant who was the candidate. Now, Truman was not wanted by Southern Democrats or ultra progressives. He's a middle of the road guy.
Damn,
Nevertheless, wins the nomination. And I like it. There is a song, I'm just wild about Harry, and Harry's just wild about me. And so this is a play on that song. I'm just mild about Harry. All right?
Wait, what election is this?
This is 48.
40.
Nobody thinks he's going to win. Matter of fact, they will predict and print out their newspapers early because they know they make more sales. And it says, Dewey wins. Why were they wrong?
He didn't win.
Why were they wrong?
Because they didn't count all the votes?
Why were their polling numbers wrong?
Time zone.
They
They
won.
called everybody. Find out who they vote for.
Oh, they call him the wealthy.
Poor people don't have phones.
Exactly.
So, and who are the poor people going to vote for? New Dealers or Republicans?
Dealers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm right.
So, Democratic platform, full resumption of progressive policies, repeal the Taft-Hartley, civil rights, health insurance. Can anybody tell me who's the first one to call for health insurance?
Abraham Lincoln. Huh?
Lincoln. Who's second?
Franklin?
Teddy.
Ted.
And matter of fact, Wilson thinks it's a little too radical.
Really?
And third,
Truman.
FDR.
Oh,
And then
so,
Truman. So they're all calling for it. It won't be until Obama that you actually get it, right?
Who cares?
New antitrust legislation. Oh, this is what he wants. This is what they want. This is a wish list. All right, the election. Serious Democratic dissension. Truman not wanted by Southern Democrats.
Fair deal.
And the fair deal, there it is. So that's what the fair deal
That's it.
is. Okay? Does he get it?
No.
No. So here's where we're starting to get some of those Southerners leaving the Democrat Party. It's not happening a huge amount, but it's happening here. And these Dixiecrats will leave and they will endorse Strom Thurmond. Wow, this is an ugly part in my history. When I was in AIT, that's schooling, I was 6 months of schooling.
What a name.
I was in the color guard. I had to sit there and do it. And for the whole, we went all around the country doing this special marching with the colors. And we had to do it for, I think it's like his 95th birthday or something. And this guy is like KKK's best friend.
He has a cool name though.
That does.
Like
That's what I was
Storm
saying.
Thunder.
All right, Progressive Party forms and nominates Henry Wallace. Again, on the edge of communism here. Your author says only a Republican genius could lose this election, and Dewey succeeded brilliantly in snatching defeat from the jaws of victory. Here are the results.
Dang, 0 for Wallace.
No, the Democratic Party just falling apart like that. It should have been easy for the Republicans to scoop in, but not the most able candidate. There he is, very famous headline, Dewey defeats Truman. How cool would that be in your victory parade? You holding that up, right?
You feel like such a G with that, right?
So why does he win? Dewey was cold, smug, superior, arrogant, evasive. Our future lies before us. What's wrong with that? Keen, what's wrong with that? Our future lies before us. What did I just tell you? What's
Not
that?
saying nothing, bro.
Yeah, there's absolutely nothing. That's like
Where else is it
today
going?
is happening right now.
I'm like,
What was Henry Ford?
It ain't gonna be behind it.
Henry Wallace.
Gerald Ford's thing.
With
Inflation now.
Yeah.
Rank straight up there, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Now, all of you know somebody like that.
My bad.
And they can be irritating, right? They think they're supposed to. You know when it's worse? The very worst? When they're right. Don't you hate that when a smug person who thinks they're arrogant, they always think they're right, and they are right?
Yeah.
You hate it.
Yeah.
Well, that's what Dewey was.
Bro, that's us.
He's very overconfident, and the Republicans are very overconfident. They can see the problems in the Democratic Party. Truman, on the other hand, he's a common man. Doesn't sit there up here. He needs to work. He gets his hands dirty. 30,000 miles he travels.
Who was the first president to do that? To go walk around around?
I want to know instead who was the first presidential candidate to do that.
Brian.
William Jennings Bryan.
Yeah,
William Jennings
I
Bryan.
remember.
Yeah, that's what I want you to know.
Who was he running?
Loser.
It was McKinley, and McKinley would stay on his porch,
Three-time
and then
loser.
Brian would be going around.
Front porch campaign.
Yeah.
Yep. All right, Truman then refers to them as the Do-Nothing Congress. Because Truman calls the 80th Congress a special session to enact the program. Nothing happens. Truman's just playing politics here. Peace, prosperity, and foreign policy are popular. He gets the farm vote. Quote, I talked about voting for Dewey all summer, but when the time came, I just couldn't do it. I remember the Depression and all the good things that had come to me under the Democrats. So it's what gets him elected. Really,
New Deal.
the New Deal gets him elected. He's a New Dealer.
Under the
So
Democrats?
he is on the coattails of who?
I think it said in the book it was like.
FDR. So can I call FDR's administration successful?
Yeah.
That's pretty easy to do, right? and wins World War II. Plus,
He did something.
Truman gets elected.
I mean, how many terms did he
I
serve?
think it said in the book it was like it was as much as FDR's election as it was Truman's election.
Now, realize this about FDR. He's one of the most beloved presidents there are. He's one of the most hated presidents there are.
Dang. I like it.
He's despised.
How many terms did he serve, man?
He's
Bishop
also
Pierre
loved.
Parlon,
What, 3.5? Well, really 3 plus a little. All right, next, he gets the labor vote, black vote, farm vote. That's what pushes him over.
No black vote.
Why did African Americans vote for him?
What?
New Deal.
The New Deal.
And
That New Deal coalition.
And he integrated the armed forces.
That he does. That he does.
I think that's
and
a big
he's a
one.
true believer.
He's done it already?
You know, you have the people who talk the talk. Truman was the walker. He truly, in his heart, believed in civil rights.
So it's like,
And it came right through. Truman just couldn't blow you off. He couldn't fake you out. He was too honest. He's one of those people that's so honest you know when they're lying right off the bat. You know?
But by this
So he didn't
election,
bother. What's that?
by this election, he already
Yes, very, very clear.
desegregated the.
No, in 48, yes, so yep, he's already desegregated. And had the Freedom Train. What did the Freedom Train do?
they rode around and
Sped up integration.
Yeah, they forgot.
Wait, I heard all good answers.
Integration.
How did it spread integration? How did it speed it up?
By having them
Equal
all
opportunity.
close
Because they were
together.
on there, they were
Literally,
nothing happened.
physically.
So I said-
Well, so what? I'm in New York City.
Nothing happened.
I always get on train. There's black and whites there at the time.
There were no riots or nothing.
Where'd this train go to?
Everywhere.
It didn't just go to New York. Where did it go?
The South.
The South, right? And still, no
What was the
KKK
Klan
there.
then? What was the Klan then?
Truman won less than he asked for, and a good deal more than cynic thought he could get. All right, his wish list: TVA from Missouri River, increase the minimum wage,
So empty.
pro-labor, Social Security benefits, rigid price supports. He wants a third New Deal.
Third New Deal.
His failures: there is no TVA,
Damn.
no federal aid to education,
All right, let's get this first.
no civil rights legislation, including he couldn't get an anti-lynching law through.
Ah.
And wait, who's stopping that? Republicans or Democrats?
Democrats.
That's Democrats stopping that, not Republicans. Elimination of the poll tax and increased power for Fair Employment Commission. Can't get any of it done. Despite that, he does make progress in the courts and desegregating the military. Yes, sir. Oh, I think. So fair deal ends when Republicans regain control of Congress in 50. So frankly, he's pretty much lame duck from 50 on.
What's the 22nd?
No, okay, so no elimination of the anti-lynch law or full tax?
Yeah, he didn't eliminate the poll tax. He didn't eliminate.
It says it increased the power of the FEPC? The Fair Employment Practices Commission. I'm gonna say called FEPC.
Again, I'm in lane 5 here.
I know.
Woo!
But he did increase the power?
With 1 minute to spare.
That's it. Truman's done. 1 minute. Not bad.
You think the
Them some dry notes, boys. Them some dry notes.
Mr. Naiman.
KKK would have attacked.
Wow.
They
That
would
would
have